Hello everyone. Welcome back to our English shadowing practice. Here's how to practice with this video. Listen to one sentence at a time. Pause when you need. Repeat the sentence out loud. Focus on sound and rhythm. Do not rush. Do not aim for perfection. Now, let's start the story. Today, Timothée Chalamet is one of the most visible actors of his generation. He leads major studio films and also appears in smaller, independent projects. In recent years, his name has been attached to large franchises. At the same time, he continues working with art-focused directors. He often collaborates repeatedly with the same filmmakers. This shows long-term creative trust. His film schedule is spaced out. Some years, he releases only 1 or 2 projects. This is a deliberate choice. He appears regularly at international film festivals. Cannes, Venice, and Berlin are common stops. Press tours are now part of his routine. Interviews happen across continents. Media attention is constant. Another visible aspect is fashion. He often wears non-traditional menswear. Stylists describe him as open to risk. Many of his outfits trend online within hours. Fashion coverage sometimes exceeds film reviews. Despite public attention, he keeps his private life limited. He rarely posts personal updates online. Most public information comes from professional events. At this stage, his career is established. However, his direction is still changing. Timothée Chalamet was born in Manhattan, New York City. He grew up in a dense, urban environment. Daily life involved walking, subways, and public spaces. This shaped his sense of movement and awareness. His family background was culturally mixed. English and French were spoken at home. His mother worked in cultural and artistic fields. His father worked in international policy-related organizations. Education was taken seriously. Creativity was also encouraged. He attended public schools during his early years. Later, he entered more specialized programs. He did not grow up in a private, isolated setting. City life was shared with many people. During summers, he spent long periods in France. This reinforced bilingual communication. Switching between languages became normal. This later helped with accents and dialogue work. New York also offered access. Theaters, auditions, and acting programs were nearby. Opportunities existed, but participation still required effort. His involvement in acting began through participation. School plays came first. He learned lines, blocking, and timing. Mistakes happened in front of audiences. Later, he was accepted into LaGuardia High School. This school focuses on music and performing arts. Admission was competitive. Students trained seriously. His days followed a strict schedule. Academic subjects in the morning, performance classes later. He studied acting technique, voice control, and stage movement. Group rehearsals were common. Feedback was direct. Improvement was expected. He worked alongside other students with similar goals. Competition existed, but so did collaboration. Outside acting, he explored music and creative writing. These activities supported performance skills. During this period, auditions continued. Results were inconsistent. Progress depended on discipline, not attention. His first professional screen work was limited. Commercials came early. Television roles followed. Most were brief appearances. Some roles involved only a single line. Others were background placements. He learned technical rules quickly. Camera positions mattered. Lighting changed behavior. Waiting was common. Auditions ended without callbacks. Weeks passed without news. Months passed without roles. Income from acting was unstable. Side work became necessary at times. He learned how casting works. Age, timing, and availability mattered. Rejection was frequent. It became routine. Still, each set provided experience. Professional etiquette developed. Crew interactions taught hierarchy. Patience became essential. This phase lasted several years. Progress was slow. Recognition was absent. But industry familiarity grew steadily. After finishing high school, Timothée Chalamet enrolled at Columbia University. He chose to study cultural anthropology. Classes focused on reading, analysis, and academic discussion. The environment was serious and structured. At the same time, acting opportunities continued. Auditions required travel and flexible schedules. Very quickly, conflicts appeared. University classes followed fixed timetables. Auditions did not. Missing classes became a problem. Missing auditions was also costly. After 1 year, he made a decision. He transferred to New York University. At NYU, he joined the Gallatin School of Individualized Study. This program allows students to design their own curriculum. He combined acting-related subjects with academic requirements. This gave him more control over time. Classes could be scheduled around auditions. Academic pressure became more manageable. He continued studying while actively auditioning. Education did not stop, but flexibility increased. This change allowed progress in both areas. School and acting moved forward together. In 2016, he was cast in Call Me by Your Name. The film was directed by Luca Guadagnino. This was not a studio blockbuster. It was an independent production. Filming took place in northern Italy. The shoot lasted several weeks. Scenes required emotional restraint. Dialogue was subtle and controlled. He worked closely with experienced actors. Direction was precise and demanding. The film premiered at film festivals. Audience response was strong. Soon after, critics began discussing his performance. Award conversations followed. He received an Academy Award nomination. This happened before he turned 23. Industry attention changed immediately. Casting calls increased. At the same time, expectations grew. Every next role mattered. The breakthrough was real. So was the pressure. After the film's success, media requests increased. Interviews became frequent. Press tours followed strict schedules. Days were planned hour by hour. Questions repeated across interviews. Answers had to stay consistent. Casting directors now saw him differently. Roles offered higher visibility. However, choices became more complicated. Accepting everything was risky. Public attention intensified. Private life became limited. At events, cameras were constant. Every appearance was recorded. Criticism also increased. Online discussion became unavoidable. Learning to manage exposure became necessary. Professional boundaries mattered. At this stage, mistakes could shape reputation. Careful decisions became critical. After his breakthrough, role selection changed. He avoided repeating the same character type. Some roles were supporting. Others were experimental. He worked with different directors. Each project offered a new approach. Genres varied. Drama, historical films, and contemporary stories followed. Some projects were commercially safe. Others carried creative risk. Scripts became the main filter. Screen time mattered less. He declined certain offers. Timing influenced decisions. Industry observers noticed the pattern. Career management became part of discussion. Balance was intentional. Visibility without overexposure. This phase defined his long-term direction. Momentum continued, but control remained. After building credibility in independent films, Timothée Chalamet entered large studio productions. This marked a change in scale. Budgets increased significantly. Crew sizes expanded. Schedules became longer. Studio films required different skills. Scenes were often shot out of order. Technical coordination became critical. Green screens were used frequently. Many scenes relied on post-production effects. Training increased before filming. Physical preparation was sometimes required. Studio expectations were clear. Deadlines mattered. Continuity was strict. At the same time, creative input still mattered. Directors expected preparation and adaptability. This period taught him how franchises operate. Teamwork became more complex. Responsibility increased. Independent work continued alongside studio projects. This balance remained intentional. As his film profile grew, public visibility expanded. Fashion became a noticeable part of his image. He appeared regularly at major events, award shows, premieres, fashion weeks. Outfits often broke traditional expectations. Menswear norms were challenged. Stylists described his approach as experimental. Risk-taking was deliberate. Media outlets began covering fashion choices separately from films. Images circulated rapidly online. Public discussion increased. Commentary was constant. Despite attention, he rarely explained his choices publicly. Appearances remained professional. Fashion became part of branding. However, acting stayed central. Media presence required planning. Every appearance carried weight. Behind the scenes, reputation matters. Directors often commented on his preparation. Scripts were studied carefully. Scenes were rehearsed privately. On set, focus was consistent. Collaboration mattered. Feedback was taken seriously. Adjustments were made quickly. He maintained strong relationships with directors. Repeat collaborations became common. Crew members noted professionalism. Punctuality and awareness were expected. Long shoots required endurance. Consistency became essential. This reputation influenced casting decisions. Trust reduced risk for producers. Work habits shaped long-term opportunities. Industry perception mattered. Today, Timothée Chalamet continues selecting projects carefully. He avoids oversaturation. Studio films remain part of his schedule. Independent projects still appear regularly. Audience interest remains strong. Media coverage continues. Career direction stays flexible. No single genre defines his work. He spaces projects intentionally. Breaks are planned. Public appearances are selective. Interviews are limited. At this stage, momentum is stable. Growth continues without urgency. The career is active. The direction is still forming. This story followed real events, places, decisions, and timelines. There were changes in scale. There were shifts in pressure. Nothing happened instantly. Progress came step by step. You can replay this video for practice. Take your time. Focus on clarity. That's all for today.